I think we'll get started. Welcome everybody to the first Planning Networks for Nature webinar. Thank you for joining us. I'm Heather Richards. I'm a Senior Conservation Officer for the RSPB and a member of the Planning Networks for Nature. Thanks very much to Sussex Wildlife Trust for providing the tech support for this webinar and use of their Zoom account. I'm not going to introduce you to everybody right now, as later on in the session, they'll be introducing themselves. We'll be recording this session and it will be added to the network for future reference. We wanted to share with you this evening a bit of the background on why this network was created and the vision for its future. Chloe will be providing a run through of some of the features of the network. The partners involved in the network will be introducing themselves and providing some insight into how they engage with the planning system, and what we will finish off with is an opportunity for questions. Please pop any questions you might have in the chat and we'll try and answer them at the end. Nature is in crisis. Protecting nature and the environment is a huge challenge. The scale of the threat to nature from development, particularly in the southeast of England, is significant. This means that most conservation organisations have to prioritise where they can get involved in planning casework to reflect their available capacity. However, this is not enough, and we all know that to save nature, we need to work together to have the biggest possible impact. The planning system, which manages and controls development, includes opportunities to ensure that people can get involved and have their say. The vision was to create a dynamic and supportive movement of people actively engaging with their peers and conservation organisations to protect and enhance the wildlife sites that they care about. There are so many passionate individuals and community groups already engaging with the planning system, but it can be daunting and sometimes frustrating and at times unclear as to what will achieve the best outcomes for nature and the community. Because of the fast-moving and changeable nature of planning casework, a virtual platform was created to provide the space to share resources, highlight threats and opportunities, collaborate, celebrate successes, learn lessons from disappointments, and ultimately provide a louder voice to stand up for nature in the local area. Initially, the RSPB, Wildlife Trust, CPRE, the Woodland Trust, BugLife, County Ornithological Societies, Community Planning Alliance, and a number of active individuals came together with enthusiasm for empowering more people to engage with the planning system for the benefit of nature and the environment. We are starting small, but we will grow as more members join to get involved on the ground with local campaigns, keep up to date with planning issues in their local area, share knowledge and ideas to protect and restore our precious environment. Whilst supported by conservation organisations, this is an independent space where anyone should feel comfortable about expressing their opinions as long as they are constructive and respectful. We all share a passion for the natural world, from shingle coastlines, ancient woodlands, chalk grasslands to open heathlands. We believe that through positive engagement with the planning system, we can ensure that future development takes account of the needs of those that can't speak for themselves, the species and habitats we share our planet with. We're also increasingly aware of the health and well-being values that these special places have for local communities. There are a number of mechanisms coming through the Environment Bill which should deliver more for nature. Statutory biodiversity net gain has now come into effect, aiming to enhance natural habitats by ensuring that developments increase the biodiversity value of sites. In addition, the evolving local nature recovery strategies will agree priorities for nature recovery and propose actions for achieving these. Local plans for where and how development will be delivered will need to consider these local nature recovery strategies. This should mean that there are more opportunities for engaging with the planning system for these to be delivered. This membership-based network is designed to bring community members, local groups, organisations and independent experts together to stand up for nature and help each other navigate the planning system by sharing expertise, insight, resources and news. We don't aim to have all the answers, but hope that this network can grow to become a really useful tool to stimulate more impactful and positive engagement with the planning system. We therefore encourage active engagement and constructive feedback from users on suggestions of how this can be improved. And on that note, I'm going to hand over to Chloe, who's going to take us through a short run through of some of the features of the network and how to find them.
Thanks, Heather. I'm going to see if I can share my screen. You could let me know once you can see it. Is that all good? Excellent. My name is Chloe Rose. I work for the RSPB, and I'm going to run through some of the functions just to give you a bit of a flavour of the network and how it works. Just to say, I'm using the Sussex platform at the moment, but the functionalities is exactly the same on the Kent site. But yeah, I'll try and run through how to post content, how to look for resources, and also getting involved in campaigns. But just before I start, just to mention that we have got an amazing team of volunteers behind the platform that are there to answer any questions that man the site, monitor the activity on there, and help us to organise it. So if there's any questions or any doubt of where to post things, you can always run it past those guys. So I'm going to head over to the network discovery section. This is where a little snapshot basically of everything that's happening on the network. You've got your welcome checklist and all your top posts, top activity that's happening. Just to highlight on the network discovery page, a really good feature that the network has is the search function, and the ability to search for things on here is extremely good. So you can just very easily put what it is you want to find out about, and it will pick up any content, posts, anything that has been contributed onto the network. So you've got a plethora of things to choose from if you are kind of hunting something down specific. Moving over to network members, which is fairly self-explanatory. You can check to see who's online. You can see if there's any newbies that have joined, but you can see everyone that's involved on the network, and potentially get involved with them. So the global feed bit is ultimately your news feed and how you can kind of get up to speed with everything that's happening on the network. If people are putting up posts, you can like, you can comment just like you would on a normal social media platform. For example, we've got the Wheeldon Regulations 18 consultation here. So that is a good way in which to keep up to speed. And the bigger we get, hopefully the busier this feed will get. If you'd like to put a post on the network, you can add something here. This is just a very general section. If it's something you've seen in the news that you'd like to share, if it's a development that's happening down at the end of your road that you want people to know about. And it's also just worth noting that this is your resource, it's your tools to use. Please don't be nervous about posting in the wrong place. We welcome any input, any comments that you have. So don't worry too much about putting things in the wrong place. And the volunteers are always there to support. Just to highlight the Get Involved section, which is anything that's active, whether it's local plan consultations, local campaigns. There's anything on there if you want to get involved. If you've got something that you'd like help on, if you want to make awareness of something, or even if you want to add an event, any partners, any external events that you see that you think people might benefit from. If you'd like to take a deeper dive into the resources section, this is ultimately the network's library where everything is organised into one section in these quite meaty topics. And you can take a deeper dive into, for example, the planning system. There's lots of information that has been saved in these sections. Just to give you a bit of an example, so we can have a look here at the Magic Maps resource that someone's added. How to engage with, a guide on planning applications. There's all sorts, a guide to local plans. So here is your place if you're looking for something quite specific that you want to know more about. And you can add content as well to the resource section. So just regarding posting content as well. And as I'm running through all this information, this is very much a starter. There's lots of things that we could improve on. So if we do want to hear any questions or any suggestions that you have on how we can run it better, so please do let us know. Just going to move down onto the campaign section. So ultimately, you can get involved in any campaign that you'd like. I'm just going to scroll down to the ones that we have on the network at the moment. It's easy to join. You just select Join Us. I'm going to go on. I'm sticking with the Swift theme. Join Us. And then if you go into their space, you can see what the campaign's all about, what posts, any news that's happened recently in relation to this campaign. And a great function that it's got as well is a campaign chat. So you can talk to the members about this particular campaign. You don't have to have that wider network involved in that conversation. You can have those chats with the members of that campaign group. Just to sort of notify as well that the network is now public. I mean, I'm assuming everyone on the call now is a member, but anyone can click onto the link. If you want to share it with anyone, they can look at the resources, they can look at the campaigns. But if you do want to engage at any point and you want to input, then you will need to sign up as a member, and you'll get sort of notified for that. If you would like to start your own campaign, we really want to hear from you. This is a function of the platform that we want to be promoting. It's a really excellent way to get what it is you're campaigning out there, talking to the right people, joining up and collaborating. And it's a very easy process to do. What we would recommend you doing is asking the administrator, which is just this function at the bottom, and let them know that you've got a campaign that you want to add to the network. And they'll have a one-on-one chat with you to work out what it is you want to share, whether there's pictures, links, and they will help you get that set up. So it's really user-friendly and an easy way to get your campaign out there. So I think I've covered off everything that I was going to mention. It is a very quick snapshot. There's lots more to kind of go into. If I've missed anything, then please feel free to put it in the Q&A. Or if you're ever on the site and you want a question answered, the administrators are always there to ask and to help you out. So I'm now going to hand over to the partners. So this is a really unique opportunity to meet all the people behind the scenes and get a little flavour as to what they do within their organisation and how they're involved in the network. So I'm going to pass you over to Kent Wildlife Trust. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chloe. So my name's Nick Trower. I'm a Planning and Policy Officer at Kent Wildlife Trust. So Kent Wildlife Trust are a conservation charity which aims to work with people to restore, save and improve our natural spaces. We try to engage proactively in the planning process by working with developers to create nature-friendly developments and with the local planning authorities by contributing to biodiversity policies within local plans. So the network is a great way to expand on how we carry out this type of engagement by empowering local communities to do the same. I have previously been a planning officer for several local planning authorities, and this experience is helpful in my current role as it allows me to better understand how to navigate the planning system, including how the planning authority will assess a planning application, and also how to effectively push for change when objecting to an application or commenting on local plans. So I'll just pass you over to my colleague, Emma.
Hi, I'm Emma Waller. I'm also a Planning and Policy Officer for Kent Wildlife Trust. So I come from an ecological consultancy background, so I tend to review plan applications with an ecologist hat on, making sure ecology surveys are following best practice guidelines and that the biodiversity net gain proposed is realistic and achievable. Sadly, we can't comment on every plan application, so we have written some guidelines to help people respond to plan applications, which can be found on the network. So I'm hoping people have been able to find that and that it's been useful. I'll now pass on to Sussex Wildlife Trust.
Hello everyone, my name's Laura Brooke. I'm a conservation officer and I work for the Sussex Wildlife Trust. We're a conservation organisation and we engage in many different aspects, but we recognise development is a huge pressure here in Sussex. So we take an active role in engaging with the planning system. My area of work that I primarily concentrate on is the local plans and the strategic planning. And we follow that process generally from the very beginning of Regulation 18s right through to examination in public. And we feel that's our best focus and effort to try and remove some of the most damaging sites that may impact on wildlife. But we do get a huge number of inquiries as well coming in with planning applications. And a bit like my counterparts in Kent, we cannot respond to all the planning applications. So we use our wildlife advice service to really help people engage in that process. But we recognise that can only go so far. And we're really looking forward to seeing how this platform can take it that next stage and introduce people to their peers and other campaign groups so they can continue their learning about the planning system. And I'm now going to pass on to the Woodland Trust.
Thank you, Laura. Hello, all. My name is Jack Taylor. I'm the Programme Lead for the Woodland Trust Woods and the Threat Team. The Woodland Trust is the UK's leading woodland conservation charity. Our aim is to protect native woods, trees and their wildlife for the future, primarily focusing our protection efforts on ancient woods and ancient and veteran trees. And we're very much an evidence-led organisation, use our conservation planning expertise to assess impacts of development on ancient woods and on veteran trees and then respond to them accordingly. So in some cases, we might be looking to publicly campaign on the really impactful stuff, whether that's a road scheme knocking out several trees or a new holiday village located within an ancient woodland. But as well as dealing with individual planning applications, we're always working towards advocating for stronger planning protections for woods and trees. And we want to equip planning authorities with the information that they need to make sure that they have the right policies in place at a local level. So we do respond to local plan consultations, want to assess how those policies are going to afford protections to woods and trees. And we also look at site allocations to determine how they might impact on these irreplaceable habitats too. We might also respond to other council consultations, whether that's biodiversity action plans or green infrastructure strategies, again, looking at that impact on woods and trees there. We can only respond to so much, as the others have already said, and that's why we think having a network with other ENGOs who cover a range of environmental concerns is such a positive project. But really, we're mainly part of this network because we believe in the power of local action. We believe that people and communities are absolutely vital in standing up for woods and trees, but they need to be equipped with the right tools so they can have impact. So the platform can be used to access some of our resources. We have the State of Woods and Trees report on there. We've got the Planner's Manual. We've got our community campaigning tools. And you can also access our report a threat function if you want to let us know about threats, irreplaceable ancient woods and trees. So please do use the network, access these amazing resources and link up with the other passionate campaigners and experts on there. I'm now passing over to Vicky.
Hi, my name is Vicky Ellis. I'm General Manager at CPRE Kent, the Countryside Charity. Like all CPREs, we specialise in planning and we adopt a broad brush approach to protecting countryside and its biodiversity. We have 2 town planners and 1 person who leads on biodiversity in our office, which is me. We work closely with local communities, parish councils and campaign groups, enabling them to break through the planning jargon and thus guiding them through the planning process, whether that be a nationally significant infrastructure project, local plan process, judicial review, or an inappropriate planning application. In so doing, we empower them to take back control of their community. We take an active part in examinations, planning committee meetings, and local community meetings. Kent Planning Network for Nature is important because it provides a one-stop shop for NGOs and experts alike to be contactable for communities, councils and individuals, a place to highlight a campaign in any local area, but also to seek advice on a range of topics from recording wildlife, BNG, NPPF and the NSIP process, even to what you do when you find a fledgling or a hedgehog out during the day or bat droppings in your attic. And now I'm going to pass over to Roger at CPRE Sussex.
Well, following on from Vicky, all I can say is ditto, but a little bit more. Yes, we're predominantly a volunteer-based organisation. My name is Roger Smith. I am a trustee CPRE Sussex. I am CPRE Sussex Planning Lead in Horsham District, but I also deal with planning applications anywhere else in Sussex because we have lots of gaps. There's only about 7 or 8 of us at the moment who are actively engaged in dealing with planning applications. And given the number of applications which are now coming forward, there is far more than we can cope with. So we do have to be very selective. We work with local people, with parish councils, people getting in touch with us for advice on planning matters and related matters. Then we do our best to answer, and where possible, provide direct support. What I would suggest that you do is visit the CPRE Sussex website. On that website, you will see that we are district-based, and you will see there a good selection of the responses to planning applications that we have done recently, and that gives you some idea of the depth of detail that we have to consider and go into. Reference my own background, I had a period of 2.5 years working as a conservation officer on an MOD estate, training estate, which is absolutely fantastic. In that role, I was trained. There were certain niceties because of the nature of the site and what was being done on it, but I also had to scrutinise project applications coming forward and look at them from the perspective of how they would impact on the site's natural environment. And on that site, we had designated ancient woodland, we had 2 local wildlife sites, we had, I think, 4 or 5 rookeries, we had a superb diversity of wildlife, and particularly birds, because that's a big interest of mine. So rather than me waffle on now, please do visit the CPRE Sussex website, and that saves lots of wordage from me, and you'll get a good insight into what we do. And those of you who are resident in Sussex, do consider joining CPRE Sussex and perhaps consider joining our planning teams. We would like to hear from you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Jamie Robbins. I'm Programmes Manager at Buglife. We are the Invertebrate Conservation Trust, so we are representing all invertebrates across Europe, so just a small job. Invertebrates are complex things. There's about 40,000 of them in the UK. So with our planning work, we try to help bug-proof planning applications effectively. We try to make sure that they're properly considered. Very few invertebrates have the same kind of protection as some of our rare other species groups like bats and plants and mammals, unfortunately. So we have to shout that a little bit louder. So we try and make sure especially that they're properly surveyed and mitigated for, because as I said, they're often kind of an afterthought in planning considerations. A big focus of Buglife is on our brownfield work. So if you look up anything about us with planning applications, you might see that we're trying to fill a bit of a gap that sometimes other charities struggle to fill. So often working with the charities here and the organisations here, we often try and help those partners get a handle on how to address invertebrates themselves. Kent, we've over the years engaged with about 200 different planning applications all across England, Scotland and Wales. So we don't have a specific Kent and Sussex focus, but because there's so much fantastic rare wildlife in Kent and Sussex, there does seem to be an awful lot of planning cases that we find ourselves drawn into. So I should point out that the whole Buglife planning team consists of myself and our Saving Sites officer, Gemma Walters, who is part-time. So this is across the whole of the UK. So our planning resources, like others here, are quite limited. So I'm hoping that this network can provide us the opportunity to help us share our expertise with yourselves, so that you can stand up for the small things that run the planet in your local area as well. The slide that Heather's kindly shared shows a piece of work that I think is really important for our planning work moving forward and to help other people decipher the complexity of invertebrates. It's our Important Invertebrate Areas project. On the left-hand side there, you can see a map. We've got the whole of England, Scotland and Wales, where we've, circling it as well, where we've identified the key places in GB for invertebrates. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a close-up of Kent and Sussex. So that's where we're at with taking that big broad-scale map on the left and doing workshops with local experts to try and tease out where the real invertebrate important areas are. You can see that the Kent ones are all nice and fine-scale mapped, but and some of the ones moving into Sussex are, but the big South Downs important invertebrate area is yet to be mapped, and that should be done by the end of the year, hopefully. If I could just get, there is one other slide, if you could just move across, please, Heather. Thank you. So very simply, these are all of the important invertebrate areas we have in Kent and Sussex. There's 4 in Kent listed there, and you'll also see we've got the South Downs in Sussex. Actually, the Kent, I think one of the Kent ones does also spill across the Sussex border. And for each of these, we're producing those little profile documents as a screen grab of there, which will help take that complexity of invertebrates and decipher it so that everyone can understand what the key species and habitats are within those important invertebrate areas. So sorry, I got a bit technical there, but it's kind of a big part of how I think we can help with planning work. So if you go onto our important invertebrate areas website, in the next few weeks, you'll see all of the Kent ones will have profile documents appear, and the Sussex one for the South Downs will be mapped later in 2024. Thank you, and I will hand back to the RSPB.
Brilliant, thanks, Jamie. So yeah, hi there, everyone. My name is Jack Thompson, and I'm the Conservation Officer for the RSPB covering the Sussex area. So along with my equivalent in Kent, Joe, and then also Chloe and Heather, the four of us make up the team covering the vast majority of the southeast of England. So for the RSPB, to protect our most important places for nature in the UK, it means working to safeguard internationally important sites such as special protection areas and special areas of conservation, intervening in cases which would create unacceptable precedents, and also defending our own nature reserves. So these are the places where we've already invested years of effort in giving nature a home. And we'll do this through both, the individual planning application process, also through engaging with local plans, alongside those wider policy mechanisms such as, local nature recovery strategies that were mentioned before, and also national policy as well. And even within the examples above, we often have to choose our battles really, really carefully, intervening only where we can add value to the work of the statutory nature conservation agencies and also other charities as well that are also in this space. But however, by working together, we can really have a much stronger voice, and that also extends to those applications where we as an organisation aren't able to get involved with ourselves directly. But what we want to do is to support in signposting and providing guiding information to help others, and that's really the real strength of having a planning network for nature across both Sussex and Kent. So that was my little bit done, and I know that was a little bit of a whistle-stop tour of the network as a whole and how it works, and many of the the partners involved in the development of the network and how we engage with planning and casework, and so we're now into the really final bits of the webinar, which is a short Q&A section. So if anyone does have any questions at all that you've thought of throughout the webinar, this is your opportunity to ask them. So no worries at all as well if you need a bit of time to think, or if you're watching this as a recording, because you can make the event, you can also post any questions to the Ask the Administrator space on the platform that Chloe had highlighted before, and our fantastic volunteers will be able to point you in the right direction. We'll also be putting an ask out on the platform for any ideas for future webinars for anyone wishing to hear more about a particular topic. I know I can see from the Q&A we do have one question, although I believe it's just been answered in terms of when the network began. So so we had a soft launch just over a year ago, and it's just been over the last few months that we've made the network public and available for everyone to view and explore and enjoy. But I'll just check to see if there are any questions. So okay, there's a question from Andre, which is how can you clarify how we join? So it's really easy to sign up. You can just go and if you use the link to the network, there'll be a big old button that will say to sort of join there, and you can just enter in some basic details, sign up, and it will create an account for you, and then you'll be ready to go, and that will give you the ability to be able to contribute and post anything. I don't know whether anyone else had anything they wanted to add to that particular question.
Answered it beautifully, Jack.
Okay, thank you very much, Claire.
Also, just great to see the number of attendees that have joined. This is the first one we've done, so it has just been a bit of a test run. But as Jack highlighted, we are intending to do a lot more webinars, ones which are much more sort of specific to the planning world. And we look forward to hearing any suggestions that anyone might have, or anyone that would like to give a webinar themselves if they're feeling brave. So thank you.
Brilliant, thanks, Chloe. So we do have another question on here. It might be one it might be one that we take away with us, because it's a bit of a meaty question here. But do you think there are structural problems with the planning system that makes it biased in favor of developers? I'm not 100% sure, Peter, whether or not we've got the time to really get into the detail on that particular topic. But what I would say is it'd be the perfect question to pose onto the platform itself. And so if you do go ahead and put that on the platform, then we can have a bit of a discussion across the members and different organizations around, like, kind of, you know, tackling a big question like that. So apologies, I don't mean to be a little bit of a cop-out in answering that question. I just think given the time, it might be better placed on the network, and it's a brilliant question. So thanks very much for that. I can't see anything else coming up on the Q&A, and I am also mindful of time as well, because you know, it's been great having everyone sort of contribute and so much information there, and we wanted to make this, you know, a nice sort of succinct just little snapshot of everything about the platform. So that sort of leads me on to bringing us back to Heather to close off the webinar for tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. And Andre, we'll make sure you get the links to joining the networks sent to you. And I think if you pop in Sussex or Kent Planning Networks for Nature into a search engine, it pops up straight away. So hopefully it's fairly accessible for everyone. Thanks ever so much for spending your time this evening joining us, and we hope you found it useful. We will be putting this onto the network afterwards, the recording. So if anyone missed out, there'll be an opportunity to view it again then. Thanks everybody.